and welcome to my channel. For those of you who are new here, my name is Lillian and I am a missionary in Bolivia. In today's video, we're going to take a look at what life really looks like in Santa Cruz, Bolivia. So, diving right in, first of all, I want to thank you guys for coming to my channel. Remember to hit the subscribe, like, and share, and continue to support my channel and the work here in Bolivia. To get started, I'm going to answer, I have a list of questions here that I'm going to answer about what life is like here, some of my first impressions, the work that we're doing here, and what life is like in Bolivia in general. So my first question was what was my first impression of Santa Cruz? So flying into Santa Cruz, I would have to say the first thing that really impressed me was how big Santa Cruz is. It's really, really big. But it's not like bigger than some of the cities that we have maybe in the States or Canada. It's just a big city in general. But when I arrived, I was expecting it to be a lot like the cities that we have here. One thing that's very different is like in a lot of the neighborhoods, the roads are all dirt and they're full of holes, they're very bumpy. The neighborhoods aren't as, I would say, like perfect and pristine as in Canada. There's a lot of people that have like cows in their backyard, chickens, pigs, sheep, you name it, they've got it. They've got a lot of animals. It's almost like a mixture between urban living and rural living. It's a mixture between city living and country living. So question number 2, why Bolivia? That's a little bit of a long one for me. Why did I choose Bolivia? I mean, there's a lot of countries out there. It's kind of random, right? You just choose Bolivia. I could have gone to Ecuador, Peru, Uruguay, Guyana, Belize, just to name a few. But yeah, I chose Bolivia for a reason that I'm not 100% sure why, to be honest. But I feel like it was more God that chose Bolivia for me. When I was 14, I went on a mission trip with it was more of a trip to visit my brother who was doing a mission trip in Belize when I was 14. And when I was there, a bunch of the girls there that I was friends with ended up going to Bolivia. And I remember thinking, wow, that's interesting. I'd really like to go to a Spanish-speaking country and learn to speak Spanish. And so I was praying about it, and I actually stumbled across an old diary of mine. I love taking notes and keeping a journal. And I came across an old journal of mine from like 2-3 years ago, and I wrote, in 2-3 years I'm going to be in Bolivia. And here I am now. So yeah, I just had Bolivia on my heart for a long time, for not really any reason that I could say why, but I have had Bolivia in my heart for a long time. So the culture in Bolivia, the one thing that I really noticed, like the first thing that I noticed was that they're hospitable. They're very hospitable people, very warm, friendly. They invite you into their homes. They want to share their food with you. They want to visit, to give you all a hug. You meet someone for the first time, they give you a hug and kiss. It's like the norm here. Latin American culture is very warm and friendly in general. It's something that I definitely really like. It's a very open culture. Also, religion here in Bolivia is something that is more openly practiced, something you can share more openly than maybe in a country like Canada, which is more secular. In Canada, I would say you knock on a door and you say, we're missionaries, we want to share about Jesus, we want to share. The people are like, whoa. What do you need? They kind of close the door a little bit more. If you come right up and just say, I'm a missionary and I want to share Jesus with you. Here you come and you're like, we're missionaries, we just wanted to share a devotional thought. You knock on any random door here. The people are like, sure, that's wonderful. Can you pray with me? Yes, of course you can pray with me. Do you have any prayer requests? Well, you can pray for my health, for my kids. My aunt's sick and she needs a prayer. Thank you so much for the prayer. It's a very much more open culture when it comes to religion. Another thing here in Bolivia with the culture and general economics is it's a more poor country. There's a lot more people. There's a lot of people, they work very hard. It's not a matter of work ethic for the majority of people. They work hard and they want to support their families. But there's a lot of people that just end up not being able to do things. There's people that have maybe a physical disability, they can't walk, and they end up, there's not a government system necessarily to support these people. There's a lot of needs for the people like that. So like you go into Santa Cruz, downtown Santa Cruz, and you'll be driving and they'll be up and down in between the aisles of cars. There'll be people on crutches begging for money. There'll be people that pushing a wheelchair with a kid that's disabled asking for money. A lot of people like that, but there is also a lot of people that, maybe they'll be going from up and down the aisles of the cars asking for money, and they're not really disabled. They could work, and they're just maybe drug addicts or struggling with different things. Like there's a whole mixture of people. Question number 4. So why Fundación SER? So I work with a foundation here called Fundación SER. And SER stands for Serve, Educate, and Redeem. We are here in the community to work with the kids. I'm teaching English classes to the kids of maybe 8 to 18 years old. And so we're trying to help teach them some basic English skills to help give them more opportunities in life. But most importantly, we are sharing Jesus' love with them. We teach Bible classes every Thursday and Sabbath. And Sundays we go and we visit the families and share devotional thoughts, pray with the families, and tell them a little bit more about Christ and what He's doing for them. Help to share a right knowledge of the character of God, as that's what we believe our calling is to show that God really is love and to share that love with others. So that is why Fundación SER is here in Barrio Lindo, Bolivia. There's many aspects to the work that we do here. There's another, Fundación SER also has a center of influence in Samaipata. And there we do things like cooking classes. They are hoping to start a restaurant soon. Also, they do health treatments, massage, hydrotherapy. It's a very beautiful work there as well. It's a different work, but connected to the work here in Barrio Lindo. Something that shocked me about Bolivia. Well, there wasn't a whole lot that shocked me, to be honest. But I will have to say that I was surprised by the amount of people going up and down the cars begging for money, the amount of poverty perhaps in the streets, the amount of need there is. And they really need that love of Jesus shared with them. Another question. What is the food like in Bolivia? Well, when I came here, I was expecting Mexican food. I was expecting hot and spicy, rice and beans, that type of idea. When you think Hispanic food, a lot of people automatically think Mexican. Tortillas, tacos, burritos, etc. But the food here in Bolivia is quite different. Some of the typical foods here are sopa de maní. Sopa de maní is peanut soup. They basically put peanuts in the blender, raw peanuts, they blend them, and then they blend it with water, and they cook it, and then they put it with vegetables, with pasta, and typically with meat, though we don't make it with meat here at the mission, but that's a typical dish, is with meat. And yeah, they eat that peanut soup. That is a very typical plate here in Bolivia. Another typical food in Santa Cruz is chicken and rice. They eat chicken and rice a lot here. It is got to be one of their favorite things to eat. You ask a lot of the kids, what's your favorite thing to eat? They're like, chicken and rice, chicken and rice, chicken and rice, or chicken and rice. They really like chicken and rice. Another thing that's very typical is they eat a lot of bread, but they don't eat bread like they do in Canada or the United States. They eat like buns. They're like bread that they slapped on a tray and they stuck it in the oven and they cooked it, and that's the bread they eat. And they'll eat that bread for breakfast with tea, and that's their breakfast. Bread and tea, or bread and coffee, or coffee and tea, or bread and tea, or tea and bread. Take your pick. That's the typical breakfast here. They'll eat bread and tea. And if they're hungry during the day, they eat more bread and tea. The thing they do here that I still don't like is they'll eat pasta, potatoes, and rice all at the same time. And I mean, it's edible, but it's kind of like starch delight, lots of starches. And I don't really like eating so much starch all at once. So yeah, it's something that I'm not sure I'll learn to like that. But yeah, the peanut soup is actually really, really yummy. I do like peanut soup. The other thing that's really, really nice here is they have a lot of fresh foods. They have a lot of pineapple, papaya, watermelon. They have a lot of tomato, greens, veggies. So I end up eating a lot of fresh stuff, which is really, really good. I really, really enjoy that. Citrus in Bolivia is very, very good. They have mandarins, oranges, grapefruit, lemons, limes. Anyway, so moving on to our next question. Is Bolivia safe? So I think that depends on where you are and what time of day it is. I would say in general, Bolivia is a fairly safe country to go. It's not, but you need to be careful, take your precautions, be with people. You don't want to go, for example, here in the barrio, the neighborhood here, the kids run loose. They're without parents, without supervision. They're running the streets. Everyone's trusting. They let the kids go wherever. But when you go to La Ramada, for example, you don't want to have your backpack on your back. Because there's so many people in La Ramada, they're just going to unzip your backpack and, pickpocket. Overall, though, I would say Bolivia is not the most dangerous place to go. There's definitely dangerous places, and there's always a risk, so always be careful. But in general, it's not the most dangerous place to go, and there's definitely safe places in Bolivia where you can just relax and enjoy the people, the culture, and the experience. So, what language is spoken in Bolivia, and is there a second language? The answer, in short, is it's Spanish, Spanish, or Spanish. Take your pick. There's no second language, and, well, that's a lie. There are people that speak other language. There is groups of languages. Quechua is spoken in different indigenous groups. Widely spoken, though, there is not an official second language that I'm aware of. Maybe I'm wrong. I need to look this up. Maybe I'm wrong. It's a language that is spoken by a lot of the indigenous groups in Canada, and Bolivia here is the majority of people are indigenous. So there is quite a bit of people that speak Quechua and a few other indigenous languages. This is a fun question. What are some of the biggest differences that I found between Bolivia and Canada? I'll have to say the first thing that I noticed was when we went shopping is that there's not any supermarket. There is, but it's more expensive. If you're going and you're going to go buy the best prices and you're going to buy like a Bolivian, you go to the Ramada or El Basto. And there's a whole bunch of vendors. It's a big farmer's market basically, and they sell everything from toilet paper, toothpaste, to vegetables, fruits, pasta, beans, anything you can imagine. And you might go to 10 different stalls along the street and find a different price for the same thing at every different stall. And you might buy something at one place and you go 2 streets down and you find it for half the price. It's kind of frustrating, but you gotta buy something at the end of the day. And other thing that surprised me was pay bathrooms. You don't go to the bathroom for free in Bolivia. You have to pay. So when you go, it's maybe like 2 pesos, 1 or 2 pesos. It's not much, but you do pay to use the public washrooms here. Question 11. What is the climate like in Santa Cruz, Bolivia? It varies. There are times when it's rainy and really humid and hot, and there's times when it's dry and windy, and there's times when it's cold. Well, not cold like Canada, but for the time I've been here, it's not been any consistent temperature. There's days when it's really hot, days when it's a little cooler, days when it's rainy, days when there'll be maybe like 3 weeks when there's no rain, there may be a couple weeks where there's rain every day. It really varies. What are some needs in Bolivia? I would have to say there are a lot of needs in Bolivia. There are a lot of poverty, a lot of people that maybe don't have opportunities at education, opportunities to work. There's people that don't have the money to pay for healthcare, and healthcare is not free. So I would say there's a lot of needs, healthcare needs, educational needs, There's people with special needs. There's a lot of needs. Needs. A lot of needs in Bolivia. And the mission work here, we're striving to do our best to reach those needs. But that being said, there's always a need of missionaries. There's always a lack of people, lack of personnel in different projects to keep the work going forward, to keep the work growing. I've always said that every true Christian is a missionary. It's not actually what I said, it's what the Bible says. It says, "Go ye therefore and teach all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, teaching them to observe all things whatsoever I have commanded you. And lo, I'm with you always, even to the end of the world." So we have that encouraging promise that in our work, we have Jesus cooperating with us and working together with us. And that's an awesome thought, really, that we're working together with God in our work. So that's all that I have today for today's video. If you guys made it to this point, drop a comment, maybe just put a smiley face, and let me know that you made it to the end of the video. If you did, I'll be very impressed, because this has probably been a little bit boring. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed listening to me blab about my experience so far. I hope to see you guys in the next video. Remember to like, share, subscribe, and most importantly, keep praying for us in the work here in Bolivia. May God bless, and stay tuned for the next video. Hi guys, my name is Lillian, and I am... Nope, I can't do this. The climate... Okay. In today's video, we're going to take a quick look at what my first impressions were of Bolivia. In today's video, why is it so weird talking to a camera?